Joining me right now, multi-millionaire and Trump supporter Foster Freeze joining us right now. Talk about that, Foster. Good to see you.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so you've been a big support.
I just love this whole phenomenon, to see the energy that they were created. I mean, what the Republican Party, I think, has been missing over the years is this marketing concept and the messaging, and it was just phenomenal, the energy he's created. And I predict we're not just electing a president, we're creating a dynasty. You look at Eric, and these guys are going to be part of our country's momentum for decades.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
We were talking yesterday that Donald Trump Jr. rocked the House the other night.
Yeah.
Eric Trump was also great last night. Yeah. But let's talk about the money raise, because Dagan mentions all the time that, you know, we're not seeing the kind of ads coming out of the Trump team that we're seeing coming out of Hillary. Does he need to raise even more money to get those attack ads going? How's the money raising going?
Well, I think the earned media will kind of do some of that, but the money raising is going to be phenomenal. I was talking to someone at a reception yesterday the Republican governors had at Governor Haslam's brother's house right on the lake. It's phenomenal. And I met a fellow who was anti-Trump. He raised like $38 million for anti-Trump. Now he's converting that money to pro-Trump. And I saw a lot of the big, heavy hitter donors there, and they're all coming on board because they waited for Pence and they waited for what was going to happen at the convention. And they've got to be very thrilled with some of the speeches at the convention, for sure.
Anthony, you too, you've been raising money. How's it going?
Well, I was going to ask Foster a question about this. Do you think Governor Pence has helped open up the spigot to some of the establishment donors that were on the fence or hesitant?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, so I agree with that. Yeah, no question about that.
Mike Pence, I've known for forever, 20 years, and he's the quintessential, and you'll let me use a big word, is the Midwestern guy that you just love. You know, he's kind, he's gentle, and he's very effective. And that's the first time I've seen him really fire in his belly. Usually he's kind of understated.
And a very well-placed source, Anthony Scaramucci, told me that Mike Pence is willing to make phone calls.
He is.
Which is
Mike Pence.
Which is critically important to raising money. But they do need to advertise, and I'll tell you why. Because independents and undecideds are very often not obsessed with politics, and they don't aggressively watch the news channels all day long. That's your earned media. There have to be ads during The Bachelorette. There have to be ads on Bravo during the Real Housewives of New Jersey. They've got to do a better job of defining Hillary Clinton rather than letting her define him.
So does that happen after the convention? I mean, do you think the convention is a catalyst to bring people together, and then maybe the money raising picks up after the convention? Is that what you're expecting?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But I think also it's important that we learn to change our language a little bit. We should not talking about preserving the Second Amendment. We should not talking about the right to bear arms. We should use the term preserving the right to protect your life and the life of your family. They did some polling. Some of the millennials, they don't know what Second Amendment is. You could talk about the Eighth Amendment. Yeah. They don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah. So the marketing of it is just as important.
Exactly.
Anthony,
well, no, I mean, here's what I say about the fundraising specifically. He's going to get enough money to compete with her. And let me tell you something, he's very effective with the money, Maria. We saw what he did with $57 million to 16 Republicans that Charles Krauthammer said were some of the most amazing resumes in Republican candidates.
And Jeb Bush had a lot of money.
And Jeb had a lot of money, and I feel disappointed that Jeb is not here and Jeb has not come out and endorsed him. So what happened is these guys got sore feelings. He said some mean-spirited things to them during the debate or whatever it might be.
It wasn't mean-spirited.
But you know, here's what statesmanship requires. Statesmanship sometimes requires holding your nose and doing the right thing for the country, even if it hurts, Foster, even if it hurts.
I wouldn't call it statesmanship. I would call it patriotism. And you look at who got ravaged more than anybody else, John McCain. But John McCain says, I'm there. I'm on board.
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of portraits of patriotism that we need to emulate. And remember, you know, Kasich and Jeb, they're still young.
Okay, that's the answer.
Well, did anybody really need last night to prove to them that Ted Cruz serves himself and no one else? How about the filibuster, 2013, 21-hour filibuster, shut down the government? Why? All in his own self-interest, because he wanted to portray himself as someone unconventional, and then Donald Trump comes along and he came in second.
Well, I think, but we have to honor Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz also is a young guy, and he stands up for a lot of principles that are very important.
He pushes back, which is
That's
what
right.
people like about him.
And also, I want to challenge the whole idea, the Ted Cruz shutdown. If you shut down that little restaurant that was on federal land, that's the only reason it cut it out. It was a private entrepreneur running it. Who was the Republican executive that called him up and said, you have to close down? Republicans can't do that.
Well, you sound like you think in 2020 Ted Cruz has a shot, even if Donald Trump wins the presidency this November.
No, I think that we're in for the Trump dynasty for decades. I mean, you look at Eric and Donald Jr.
That's a big statement.
These guys are, I mean, I just saw Eric at breakfast the other day, and his wife. These are honest, good, loving American people, and we're going to see them for a long time, thank God.
Wow.
The more I get to know the family and see them, and I mean, these are quality people you want to have for relatives or neighbors.
They're the kind of people who don't...
Can't fake kids. Remember what Penn said? I'm sorry.
You know, they're the kind of people, and I say this personally, they don't better deal you, meaning they're not looking over your shoulder when they're talking to you, looking for a better deal behind you, looking for somebody more important, looking for somebody more famous, looking for somebody with more money. The Trump kids do not do that.
Tonight's a big night for
He doesn't do that either, by the way.
No, Trump doesn't either.
What do you want to hear from Donald Trump? I mean, tonight's a big night, obviously. He's going to accept the nomination. What do you want to hear from him?
Well, I think I want him to continue to emphasize our vision. I was at the event in Iowa where he said what he said about John McCain. And all the media just covered the comment rather than casting a vision for what we want to do. When you think of, he wants to vet the Syrian refugees more carefully. He wants to neuter Dodd-Frank.
Yeah.
All these things he believes, and I think the vision for America that he can create, because he can sell the American public on what needs to happen.
The platform, roll back regulation, lower taxes.
Yeah.
All right, we will leave it there. Foster, great to see you.
It's a delight to be here,
Thanks
as
so
always.
much. Foster Freeze joining us there.
Thanks.